Back on the show now is Mario Bautista, who picked up a UD win this past weekend at UFC 316 over Patchy Mix. Mario, always great to talk to you, my man. What a performance. What a huge win. I think you really turned around maybe some of those haters that you had after the Aldo fight. How gratifying of a win was it to get over such a tough guy, but also the way you did it?
Yeah, it felt good. I had a lot of hate from those Aldo fans and whatnot. Um, and then I just had a great performance against Patchy Mix, who was a three-time world champion. A lot of hype behind him, and just beat him all three rounds and just had a perfect performance. So yeah, I feel great about it.
How would you rate this performance overall on a scale of 1 to 10? I mean, it's pretty close to a 10. I thought you won 30-27 across the board. I was surprised that one judge had it 29-28.
Yeah, no, I thought it went as perfect as it could possibly go. We avoided the grappling and submission completely, and we just beat them up for three rounds. So it went pretty good. I'd give it maybe 8.5, maybe 9. 10, I think just being like a finish and whatnot. And also, it doesn't surprise me that it was Sal Diamato, I think, that made that scoring. So, who is always known for some weird judging anyway. So that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I felt like we went all three rounds flat.
How busy has this last week been? I know you've done a lot of media. Like, do you know what number interview this is? I know you've been a busy guy.
Now that you asked that question, yeah, I probably couldn't tell you which in what, man. It feels like I've been talking all week, and I'm just like a quiet, reserved guy. This I must have talked all year, to be honest. So, yeah, it's been pretty busy.
How are you getting used to all the attention? It's just going to get more and more now that you're becoming more popular and climbing up the ranks here.
Yeah, yeah, I get used to it. I kind of had some negative tension after that all the one, so I'm kind of used to it by now. But yeah, we got a huge change over. It seemed like with these fans on the internet and whatnot. So yeah, I guess it's just something I'm gonna have to get used to. Like I'm quiet, like I said, by nature. So we'll see how that goes.
I saw in an interview that Coach Kraus did that you actually popped a rib or multiple ribs a couple weeks leading into this fight. Can you kind of tell me how that affected you? Like, were you not 100% because of that injury?
Yeah, yeah, I was trying to keep that under wraps a little bit, but especially afterwards, I wasn't even going to say anything, but you just start hearing all these excuses from like Patchy and whatnot, and it's just like, bro, like you don't even know what I was going through, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so we had that change of opponent, mid camp, we found out it was Patchy, so yeah, we start working like a lot of drills, like on the back, backpack drills. Um, so yeah, it was my last hard round, last minute, and I was trying to shake one of the guys off the top, and I was a little twisted up, and next thing you know, I kind of popped something, and literally for the first few days after that, I would hit mitts, and any twisting that I did would make it, pop again. So that was just like a battle I was dealing with, every day leading up to the fight. It's I didn't wrestle for 2 weeks. Any wrestle before I even went out there. Some hits, just straight punches, and got a sweat, called it good, and went out there and still got the job done. But it was definitely a battle. I was fighting quite a few battles leading into there.
Did you ever have any inkling of pulling out? Did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, definitely. Like obviously, like the first few minutes of after it happened, I did have those thoughts, man. I was like just so upset with myself that I even kind of put myself in that position. You know, kind of I should have saved myself a little bit more for the fight, but things like that just happened. But yeah, yeah. What was your question again? I'm sorry.
Just like if you even considered pulling out. I mean, it's a big fight. Obviously, the win that you
Oh,
got really propels you, but like, obviously you want to be 100% as or as close to it as you can going into the fight.
yeah. I just didn't want to make it any more of a crazier show than it was. With Cheeto falling out, and then I take the Patchy fight, and then like 4 days later, this happened. So I couldn't do that. I was thinking it in my head. I was like, man, if I pull out of this fight, how am I going to feel, with myself afterwards? And I just didn't want to deal with all that. And I was like, you know what? I've done most of the work already. Let's just stay healthy as I can. Let's not aggravate anything, and let's just make it to the fight and see what happens. Let's roll the dice there. So that's exactly what I did. I'm proud of myself for that. It took a lot to do that, and yeah, like I said, I'm proud of myself, and I really grew from that.
When you found out that Cheeto had to pull out and you had this new opponent in Patchy Mix, what was your mindset? Were you disappointed? Were you excited? Did you think this was a better fight stylistically? Like, what were your immediate thoughts?
No, I was like reignited again. I knew who Patchy was, and I knew how good he was. So in that aspect, man, okay, I need to turn it on like even more, as far as training. And I knew like him coming in, all the hype that would come with it. A Bellator champion coming over, and especially him because he's really successful. Successful. He's not coming at the end of his career. You know what I mean? He's coming in his prime. So yeah, I just had to go out there and just get it done.
Did his behavior at the pre-fight week, the press conference and all that, did that add even more motivation for you to go into the fight? Did it kind of give you a chip on your shoulder?
During the week, I really didn't let it bother me much, because that's just for me. That's just a waste of energy, and there's a few more hurdles I got to get through before I even get into the fight, which making weight, this and that, getting these training sessions in. So I didn't even let it bother me. But once I got to the cage, like I felt like a different person, and just I was like, okay, now you could say whatever you want. We're gonna figure it out now. Like this is the time. And I could just tell just by looking at him, even like in the face-offs, it was kind of uh, a front, I should say.
Mhm.
And I just knew I would beat him. I could see in his eyes that he just wasn't going to be ready.
Did you think he was being disrespectful though? Like, is that a thought that you and your team had?
No, no. I think if you're talking about the fight and fighters, you could say whatever you want. You have at it. It's when you start getting into family and cultures and maybe stuff like that. Then maybe that crosses the line. I kind of thought it was funny actually. He said he was going to submit me and my coach, whoever's teaching me jiu-jitsu. So Crouch just got a straight bullet there. Crouch is 60 years old over here. So I thought that was pretty funny. But he had to do what he had to say what he had to say to promote himself and sell the fight and whatnot. So it didn't matter at the end of the day.
Your striking and footwork was clearly the difference in this fight. I feel like you really kind of put the rest of the division on notice as to just how darn good you are on the feet. Is that an accurate thing to say? Do you think that performance against someone like Patchy Mix really kind of, let the rest of the top five, top 10 of the division know, like, hey, Mario Batista is someone that you got to watch out for on the feet. He can light you up.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you're a great grappler and a great, and I feel like maybe you are a better submission artist than me, or that's your knack, you know what I mean? I'm gonna adjust my game to avoid it and beat you in an area that you're not good in. So you know, that's kind of like how I built my mixed martial arts game, being able to adapt to whoever I need to get the win. So yeah, it is definitely a good performance. And they all know how good Patchy is. Everyone in the top five knows how good Patchy is. So I think I did put everyone on notice.
I picked you to win. I did a write up for one of the publications that I work for, and I thought you'd win. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Mario. I thought it would be closer. Are you surprised as to just how dominant you were, as to like how badly you really beat him? Because it wasn't close at all.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised, especially in my mind. On paper, on paper it's actually pretty easy. If you have better takedown defense than his offense, if you can avoid the ground completely and you're better at stand up, you're gonna win that fight easy. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's easier said than done. But I mean, that's all in preparation. That's just sticking to the game plan, staying focused in there to stick to the game plan, not getting flustered or like panicking and just shooting for no reason. Um, so yeah, I just owe a lot to my training for that.
How did the New Jersey crowd treat you? How were the fans?
Uh, I would say 50-50. Even during fight week, some of the fans were pretty cool. I was surprised. There's a little difference from the ones online than the ones you see in real life. But there were a few fans out there that, yeah, they got lucky. I'm a professional fighter and can't risk doing nothing stupid. So, but yeah,
Okay, fair enough. Well, third longest win streak now in UFC bantamweight history, only behind Marab and Aljo, man. That's rarefied air. How cool is that to hear?
yeah, that was pretty cool. I didn't know until after the fight they brought that record up. I'm like, dang, like in bantamweight history, that's crazy. And then second, as far as being active, with just being behind Marab. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see, especially just seeing how far I've come and where I've started from. And man, it's crazy.
Is Marab the bantamweight goat?
He's up there for sure. I think I want to say Dominic, but at that time, I think the bantamweight division was so young. There wasn't, he was the champion. There's probably like three other ones. So now you got Marab, who has beaten multiple champions, Aldo, Henry, Jan. So it's hard to say, but yeah, he's definitely up there with Dominic. I think they're neck and neck.
If you were matched up with Marab to fight for the title tomorrow, how do you see that fight going? How do you anticipate it would play out?
I think I'd be pushing back Marab quite a bit in that fight, and I would be keeping up with him cardio for cardio. And I think if you could do that, cardio for cardio, then the skills will kind of play out. And I think that's where I'm better than Marab. Like, I think skill wise, he's maybe not the best, but he more than makes up with it in cardio, just being aggressive. And then that's how he makes up for it. So that's how I see that fight going. Me keeping up with him and, making him run into some big things.
Would you expect it to go the distance? You'd have to go all 5 rounds and beat him via decision.
I wouldn't want it to. I'd be doing everything I possibly could to not make it go that long. Because with Marab, you're going to be tested not only physically, mentally, but probably spiritually too. So
Mm.
I would do everything I could just to get it finished as fast as I could.
How impressed were you with his performance, his win in submitting Sean O'Malley?
No, I was pretty impressed. He usually just grinds people out. I've seen him in spots like where he possibly could get a submission, but he usually just kind of grinds you out. Um, and so I'm thinking, Marab is not really dangerous. He's just going to win decision, just beat you and make you so tired. But he's added a new element to his game. So yeah, I was pretty impressed with him that they seen that. And Sean's not easy to submit, so yeah, I was definitely impressed.
Do you think we see Sean go up to featherweight?
Uh, I don't think anytime soon. I think he might be a little smaller, like for featherweight. I think there's some thicker guys for sure. But I think he still has a few good fights here at 35.
And you still have a lot of interesting matchups. I mean, I would imagine that you try to avoid fighting Sean because of the relationship that you guys have with one another. But do you think there's any possibility that the UFC would try and match you guys up?
I could see them trying something like that, which for me, it wouldn't make sense because he's one and I'm number 10, and, there's eight other guys in between us. So um, there's definitely more to choose from. And I think maybe Sean is probably trying to find more of like those bigger money fights. But yeah, that's the way I see it.
It'd be interesting to see what they do with him if he stays at bantamweight, right? Because he's now lost to Marab twice. I know he's going to want to fight for the titles, so he's going to have to be right up there at the top, maybe like a Sandhagen. But he's supposed to be fighting Marab next. Do you think he's the guy that could get it done and dethrone Marab, or do you expect Marab to kind of continue to do what he's doing?
Now, not not unless Corey, catches him with a big knee. That's the way I see it. Like Corey has to catch him with a big knee catching him coming in. Other than that, no, I kind of see it just the same way the first O'Malley fight went. Just kind of being grinded out. Um, and that's kind of what Umar did to Sandhagen, even though that was close. But I think Murab can do a better job about it. So yeah, I have Murab winning a decision.
Piotr Jan is taking on your teammate Marcus McGee. How do you see that fight playing out?
That's going to be a banger of a fight. As a fan, that is an awesome fight. And then people are, don't count out Marcus. Marcus can stand up with anyone in the world, and for me, I feel like he's the best striker in our room. So I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think you're going to see Jan, turn into a wrestler in that fight. So, but I have Marcus winning.
Is that 3 or 5 rounds? Do you know?
I want to say it's a 3 rounder.
Oh man, that should be a 5 round fight. I want to see that. I want to see that five
Yeah,
rounds.
yeah, it's going to be a good one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a three.
Okay. Well, I'll have to ask Marcus. I'm interviewing him on Monday, so looking forward to that fight. When you look at the top of the division, Mario, I tried not to watch a lot of your interviews post fight because I wanted to try and just be organic and not know what you're going to say. Who do you want to fight next? If you had your choice, and if you're not fighting for the title, like who makes sense for you?
I really like the Umar fight. I think like a win over him gets me right there for title contention. It gets me in the talks because a win over Umar kind of solidifies all that. Guy that just went all 5 rounds with Marab, and he has a great following, good last name, comes from a great team. So I think a win over him, like there'd be no denying me at that point. So that's the fight.
Stylistically, outside of the champion Marab, is Umar the toughest test for you specifically, or is there someone else that you feel like could give you more problems than Umar?
Uh, no, I think Umar might be one of the toughest tests. He showed he can go all 5 rounds. Has a great ground game wrestler. Good stand up, snappy kicks. So he's well rounded. He's not like a specialist. So yeah, those are the fights that are going to be probably the most exciting for me because you'll see me up down, striking, grappling. It's those are the fun fights for me, and um, I think that would be one of the biggest challenges.
As long as you're fighting above your ranking, is that the most important thing to you? Like, would you be disappointed if they had you fighting someone below you next? What's your thought process on that?
Yeah, no, I would have to fight above me for sure. I'm on an 8 fight win streak. Why would I fight backwards? I'm trying to go forward. There's no one else above me that has this win streak that I have. So it wouldn't make sense to me if they offered me, number 14 or whatever it was. Like that would not make sense to me. So I'm hoping we get to move forward and get something there.
Do you think that a rematch with Cheeto would make sense? Is that a fight that you'd be intrigued about?
Yeah, I like that fight. I like the fight from the very beginning. Like I was very happy with that one. The only thing that's kind of bugging me with it, or like making me think twice about taking it, is we had to push the fight back, because he was a little hurt. So it got moved to May 3rd, and then now this had nothing to do with him, but it got changed to June 7th, and then 4 weeks before the fight he gets hurt, so he almost becomes kind of unreliable at that point. And I just wouldn't want something like this to happen again, because I kind of got lucky that they had Patchy mix. Otherwise, they're probably going to give me someone maybe not even in the top 15.
Yeah, that's a good point. And when would be the perfect time frame for you? Like when is the ideal month or time of year for your next fight?
Yeah, I like the end of the year, maybe November, December. Um, I really like that. So hopefully we can get something. And I don't want to wait too long, not as long as I waited last time. So I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Do you have any plans? Like, are you going to do stuff with the family and just kind of take a step back and let your body relax a little bit before jumping back into it?
Yeah, yeah, just gonna relax, just heal the body before I go to practice. But now I won't have any guilt about like, hey, coach, I'm gonna take this weekend off, or I'm gonna take these days off and go camping or whatnot. So yeah, that's on the list. We're gonna do some camping. I have a buddy's wedding that we're gonna go to in a few months, and just gonna go back home to Nevada to visit some family and friends. So there's definitely some things I want to do.
Very cool. Have you checked out any of those TV series I texted you about?
Man, I feel like I started watching one that you recommended.
Was it
Oh man, I,
Landman?
I think so with I forget what movie, Bad Santa, that guy, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think I started watching the first episode. I didn't get too far into it though. But yeah, those are the type of ones that I like. Kind of reminds me of like Yellowstone or something
Yeah.
like that, you know.
Yeah. Well, we'll dive back into it. I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it. It's a good
Yeah,
series.
I'll definitely have time now for sure.
Yeah. One last thing. I'm just curious. What do you think of the nickname Super Mario? Have you heard that? Is that something that you think could stick?
I don't know. I've been hearing that one for years now, you know. I like it. I get it. It's just too attached to like that cartoony kind of figure, you know what I mean? And honestly, it almost gets a little old, you know. It's a me, Mario. It's just, yeah, I know. I like it though. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it fits, man. Like you clearly are super as a mixed martial artist. Happy to see you continue to climb the ranks, man, and get this big win, Mario. Can't wait to chat with you. Hopefully, we'll do it again before your next fight, whenever that is, man. But again, thank you for the time. Congrats on the win. Before we do sign off, want to give you the floor as always. If you got anything you want to plug, anyone you want to thank, floor is yours.
First, I just want to thank my coach, my team, you know, for getting me to this fight. You know, they really kept me, you know, lifted. They kept my spirits high, you know, these past few weeks, and just gave me more and more confidence until we got to the fight. So I want to thank them. I want to thank Iridium Sports Agency for, you know, sticking with me all these years and just being great. And also just want to thank you for this this interview. Another one. We've been doing this for a while now, so I appreciate your time and the platform you give me to kind of speak my mind.
Always a pleasure, my man. Can't wait for the next one. Enjoy this one, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in the octagon soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it.